Learning to make a simple pie crust from scratch is one of the most foundational skills that you can have in the kitchen. Once you know how to make a good crust, you unlock endless sweet and savory recipes, from fruit pies to quiches to pot pies, hand pies, and tarts. Today we're making an old-fashioned and ridiculously easy, super flaky pie crust. You're gonna need 1¼ cups of all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, and 1 stick or a half a cup of unsalted butter. Start by cutting your butter into small cubes and placing it in the freezer for 10 minutes to make sure it's nice and cold. Making sure your butter stays cold is a huge key to making a super flaky pie crust. Grating frozen butter with a cheese grater also works beautifully when you're making a pie crust by hand. Next, mix together 1¼ cups all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Add your ice cold butter and cut it into the flour using a fork. I prefer to do this by hand because it's really easy to overwork the dough in a food processor. If you want to use a food processor, you can. Just make sure you do short pulses. You're looking for pea-sized pieces of butter throughout the mixture with a few slightly larger chunks. When you achieve this consistency, add in 2 to 3 tablespoons of ice cold water. Very slowly and gently toss the dough until it begins to stick together. You want to add just enough water so that the dough holds together, but it should not feel wet or sticky. Once you achieve this, gather it into a disc, wrap it in plastic wrap tightly, and chill it for at least an hour before unrolling it. You can also very easily freeze the dough at this point. I love to triple or even quadruple this recipe and have a stock of frozen pie dough in my freezer throughout the holiday season. It just makes such a fast and easy, convenient way to make a homemade pie. When you're ready to use it, simply thaw it in the fridge overnight and then roll it out as usual. Roll the dough out on a lightly floured surface into a rough circle about 10 to 11 inches wide. Add flour periodically and flip the crust every now and then to prevent sticking. Once it's rolled out, fold it into quarters and gently fit it into your pie pan. Trim the edges if necessary and fold them down. You can crimp the edges however you like. I normally just use my fingers for a super rustic homemade look. From here, you can either par bake or blind bake the crust depending on what you're making. Par baking means partially baking the crust, which you do when the filling will be baked again, like with quiches or most fruit pies. This gives the crust good structure and it prevents a soggy bottom. Par bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for about 7 to 9 minutes, just until the edges start to set. Blind baking, on the other hand, means fully baking the crust before adding a filling that won't be baked further, like cream pies or the chocolate filling that I'm about to show you. For a blind bake, bake at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes until the crust is golden brown. For both par baking and blind baking, you want to dock the bottom with a fork and also add a layer of parchment paper along with pie weights or dried beans to prevent the bottom from bubbling up. Both methods create a crisp and sturdy, delicious crust. Now let's make a super easy chocolate cream pie filling to go into our blind baked homemade pie crust. We're gonna need 1 cup of sugar, a half a cup of cocoa powder, a third a cup of cornstarch, a pinch of salt, 2½ cups of cold milk, and a tablespoon of vanilla. This chocolate cream pie is so silky smooth and delicious, and it's a breeze to whip up, especially if you have some homemade pie crust sitting in your freezer. In a medium saucepan, whisk together 1 cup of sugar, a half a cup of cocoa powder, a third of a cup of cornstarch, and a pinch of salt. Then slowly whisk in your 2½ cups of cold milk and your 1 tablespoon of vanilla. Heat over medium-high, stirring constantly until the mixture comes to a simmer and then thickens. Once it thickens, pour the hot filling straight into your fully baked pie crust. Let it come to room temperature and then chill it for at least 2 hours until it's set. This makes a rich, silky, old-fashioned chocolate pie that's unbelievably simple. You're welcome. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss another video.